I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. You know, you would think as close as Putin and Trump are and how they wanted Trump to get elected, they would not be giving us a warning. Russia vows to shoot down all flying objects over Syria. We shot down a Syrian jet fighter plane this past weekend, and yeah, you would just think Russia would be so happy with the outcome after. Okay, the 6th Congressional District. Let's go here. Now, this is going to be too close to call. Now, wait a minute. People have asked, this is between Karen Handel and John Ossoff. Karen Handel's a Republican, John Ossoff the Democrat. This one will be too close to call. The amount of money involved in this one. But watch for the investigation if this thing comes down to 500 votes. I mean, I'm serious. Watch for the investigation by the Secretary of State or into the Secretary of State's office in the state of Georgia, considering somebody trying to, change the election, the outcome of the election. I don't know if the Russians are involved yet or not, but watch this state in many different levels. If Karen Handel wins, this election will be treated no different than the general election. If Karen Handel wins, watch and see. Because if you will start doing your own research, which I brought up last week, all right, they're already talking about how Russia attempted, is it 36 or 39 states? Okay, watch and see what happens. Wait for the first state that the Secretary of State feels they cannot certify an election. Watch it. Meet the press, Ossoff Handel. Let's go with the number one right here. Okay. Meet the press, Ossoff Handel. That we're talking about, they did everything. Now, the media entirely this weekend and Morning Joe, they're doing everything they can to help little John, the Cub Scout, John Ossoff, win this election. So why Georgia 6 matters in 2016? Okay. This is on Meet the Press yesterday. Price won, okay? Price won, Tom Price, which is the HHS secretary, won by 23 points, okay? The last time he ran in this district, the Georgia 6. Trump only won by 1.5% against Hillary Clinton. Watch what the media is doing. There's 23 districts, and this was on Meet the Press. There's 23 districts. The GOP wins House, Clinton wins presidency. Okay? 23 districts that are GOP wins in the House that Clinton won as president. 23. Watch what they're doing here, folks. Okay? They're trying to show if it flips. Let's go to number 2, John. Okay, this one is why Georgia 6 matters. They did this one yesterday. Top 10 districts for colleges. Okay? Plus voters. 9 Dems to 1 GOP. All right? They are talking about the Georgia 6th, right? Top 10 districts for colleges. They're an educated voter base. Educated. Folks, do you ever stop and think about why the educated voter base, overwhelmingly, as they call them, educated? No disrespect, okay? No disrespect to the kids. All right? I mean, we always get upset with the kids, but we never like connect on why the kids are going down the road or the educated voters are registering Democrats. That's a very long story, but in the 70s, in the 60s, you know, a couple kids went to college. In the 70s, it was everybody's dream that every kid got to go to college. By the 80s came, I mean, you were supposed, I mean, in the 70s, in the 60s and 70s, you had families that they had their first kid graduate from college, all right? And then you started getting around 1980, and in the 90s, I mean, you're supposed to go. I mean, after you graduate high school, you're supposed to go to college, my God. But at the same time, we turned our backs on what the kids were being taught in college and how liberal to the left these universities and your money paid for went. And now they call these the educated voters. Educated our way. Educated the way we intended them to be. Seeing it as we see it. Voters. So every time you see something that says the educated voters, okay, 9-1 in the 6th district. Democrat, 9-1 to the GOP. Remember, it's not educated voters, it's they see it the way we intended for it to be. Just say it. Everybody, I get so sick of that. Educated voters. All right, so just tired. We better get a grip on how they call that. Let's go to number 3. Meet the press. Why the Georgia 6 doesn't matter? 40 million on TV ads, okay? The highest amount spent on a congressional race was the Florida 18th with in 2012 with 29.5. The Georgia 6th, okay, has $40 million invested in here. What they don't tell you is how much Ossoff got from California and all over the United States. They poured in for this John Ossoff, an invented candidate, okay? Let's go to the next one here. Meet the Press, the last one I have on Meet the Press. Price won 62% in 2016. 118 House Republicans did better than this. That's why this is a big deal, because if Democrats can flip the 6th, okay, after this stronghold of this district. See, they want this district. This is Johnny Isakson. This is Newt Gingrich. This is Tom Price. They want this district. Trust me. This will be a national referendum. Okay, I got one more on Meet the Press. It says, it just says, they opened up Georgia on Our Minds. I think that's the name that I have it on. Georgia on Our Minds. Okay, Meet the Press this Sunday. They opened up the show, Georgia on Our Minds. They did everything they could. There you go. There's John Ossoff and Karen Handel. And let me get, I don't know how many more I have here. I have Morning Joe, John Ossoff, and Karen Handel. Total fundraising. Folks, the total fundraising in the Georgia 6th District special election. John Ossoff, okay, 23.6 million. 23.6 million. Karen Handel, 4.5 million. That's why this is too close to call. And, I mean, I'm going to do it tomorrow morning. I'm going to make a call tomorrow morning. But I'm going to tell you right now, $23.6 million spent in this district. 4.5 million by Karen Handel fundraising, not 4.5 by Handel, 23 by, I'm telling you right now, I don't know how you overcome that amount of money spent in an election. I don't know how you do that, all right? I don't know what you do. I'm hopeful that they can actually get over the hurdle here. Karen Handel, with the money that she's had to go up against, Nancy Pelosi and the DCCC have invested. All right, we'll see. We'll see. Now, Ossoff, I want to come back and talk about what I call, if he wins, the perfect, if he wins, he has to win. If he wins the perfect campaign he ran in the 6th District. So take us to break, and when we come back, we're still going to talk about Ossoff and Karen Handel. And we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. We're North Georgia's only live online morning show. Now, I was talking to you before the break. Because John Ossoff and what I call could be, and I don't know how you could have done this any different, but I went to several Ossoff campaign events. I tried to email Ossoff's campaign throughout the campaign, and the emails he sent out, his campaign, was media RSVP. Okay. So they wanted the media to RSVP in this campaign. And I experienced this myself, and it said what it's like to cover John Ossoff's accessible campaign. They called themselves accessible. Now, they find this guy who lives outside the district, okay? He can't even vote, so hopefully it doesn't come down to one vote. And they called his campaign an independent voice for the 6th District, which very Democrat, paid for by Democrats. Work across the aisle. So if you have a candidate that everything they say is the only thing that's going to get reported, they're not going to take but a handful of questions from set up, focused interviews, AJC, MSNBC. You will not find a long list of media outlets. You will not find a long list of media outlets that had an opportunity to sit down and interview John Ossoff, okay? John Ossoff did one very well scripted, set up debate, televised, and I think one radio debate. But that's it, okay? Ossoff's campaign, they called themselves accessible. This is by Brent Scherer. John Ossoff's campaign is an impressive one. This is the Washington Free Beacon. It came out on the 16th of June. The offices are filled with young, exciting volunteers and staffers chatting in rooms covered with bright posters that make you feel like you're at summer camp, arts and crafts center. Personnel are well trained to hide Ossoff's vulnerabilities. It don't matter who you talk to; they were so well trained they knew immediately if you walked in a campaign office of Ossoff how to handle and to answer questions on his vulnerabilities. One volunteer introduced himself to a staffer, said, "I'm from California. I know," putting his finger over his lips, Another bragged about how he taught his little brother, who didn't appear to be more than 14 years old, not to talk to reporters. What is press, the younger brother was trained to say. On June 12th, this reporter, on June 12th, I went to my first Ossoff event at the Marriott Field office. I introduced myself to the communication director. I did the same thing. I mean, I'm listening to this, and this is exactly the way the whole campaign has been run. Who kindly forwarded me an email the campaign has sent to the press list that cataloging his planned events for the day. Cataloging his planned events for the day, which included two that, unlike the Marriott event, weren't announced publicly. That's right. She told me she would add me to the list and made a note of the plan on her phone. Okay. Ossoff soon arrived with Representative Dan Kildee, a Michigan Democrat, in town for the event. Kildee didn't say much. He praised Ossoff's values, said that he is willing to work with anyone, left or right or center, and briefly mentioned Ossoff's focus on government waste and tech jobs. Ossoff said less. He said the campaign would come down to the wire, said the race wasn't about political party, and urged the canvassing stay kind and stay humble. Now, I'm telling you right now, this is the way I was treated the same way by this campaign. Everybody has. Ossoff worked the room, shook the hands, okay? Ossoff said as he walked away, "Do you have time to talk later?" I asked. "We'll see," he said. I asked the communication director whether Ossoff would have time for an interview. She suggested I email the questions. I went to an event and every candidate spoke to me at that event, but John Ossoff. I went up and I said, "Sir, can I ask you a couple questions? My communication director's right here. I have to leave. I'm for sure they'll help you and answer anything you may." "Why? You're standing right here. Can I ask?" Would not talk to me. Then when I talked to the communications director, I was told, email the questions. They would check. I asked one time for an interview, and I was told, "Well, we have so many requests for interviews, we may not be able to get to all of them." As I turned my attention back towards Ossoff's discussions and volunteers, I noticed that a young man shorter than I was boxing me out. I attempted to go around left, but he exhibited strong fundamentals, shifting in my direction while using his elbow to gain leverage. I went right, but he persisted. "Excuse me," I said. I politely tapped him on the shoulder, attempting to avoid a body slam. "Can I get by you?" He said nothing. "I can't get by you," I repeated, laughing at an absurdity of the situation. "I think I'm allowed to get by you," I told him. "So which group are you with?" he finally said. "I'm a reporter with the Free Beacon." "Oh, okay, sorry," he said. Stepped aside. I thought you were a tracker." "Don't worry, buddy," I said. Now, this continued on, all right, and the bottom line on this article, it parallels, there's been no access to this candidate. No access whatsoever. If it is not CNN, if it's not a canned reporter from CNN, MSNBC, AJC, if it is not questions in advance, you did not get to this candidate. This candidate never said anything of substance. His volunteers were all trained not to say anything of substance. They were all trained to be perceptive and pick up any reporter that actually wanted to answer a real question. And then they did some outstanding ads trying to paint him as an independent voice for the 6th District, interested in tech jobs, interested and growing and transportation and working across the aisle and defeating ISIS and the debt. Furthest thing from the truth. Furthest thing from the truth. Completely stayed away from this campaign in any way of answering a question. Jon Ossoff, he has to win tomorrow. If Jon Ossoff loses tomorrow, the Democrats lose all the wind in their sails. Oh yes. They won't stop, but the wind in their sails will be gone if they lose this 6th district, because they want you to believe. But as I predicted, and I'm going to move past this, all right? Prediction of who wins, I'm going to hang on till tomorrow morning on that one. But I'm going to tell you this, as I predicted, okay? As I predicted, I'm telling you now, they want Georgia to be a purple state. Even during the campaign for president, Georgia a purple state. Georgia turning purple. Folks, if this district goes from Newt Gingrich, Johnny Isakson, Tom Price, to this 30-year-old kid that doesn't even live in the district, then if you don't think that they think it'll be a purple and they don't take this and resonate this all over the country and a referendum on Donald Trump, you are badly mistaken. This is big tomorrow night. I hope Republicans get out and vote. I hope they realize how big this is. And I have to say, I hope Karen Handel wins. I'm your host. Tomorrow, this one's close to call. Early voting, before I go to break, early voting shows very strong for Karen Handel. Early voting shows very strong. Millennials have been on vacation. We'll see. I'm your host, BKP. We'll take a break. We're going to come back. We got our last 30 minutes to wrap up the show. John, take us a break.